All right, we're back with Zach Strickland here, our Sultan of Sonar. What are we looking at?
Tender rejection rates for all of our three big modes here: van in blue, reefer in green, and flatbed here in orange. You know, we're trending down in the reefer sector, relatively flat in van and up in flatbed. So we've got this convergence,
right.
But all three of them are going up slightly here at the end. You know, as we approach July 4th, end of quarter, end of month type deal. Traditionally, like, this is a peak season. In the summer, you know, before the actual peak season in the winter. So we do have a lot of freight moving right now, and it's keeping pressure on the freight markets.
Yeah, I've always liked looking at, especially FOTRI, the flatbed up on tender reject index, because we don't break out our volume index by flatbeds, but this also does have a measure of demand in it as well, right? So when we see flatbed rejection rates rising so much, we have to know that there is definitely some bigger demand, manufacturing coming back online here.
Yeah, not a lot of contracted flatbed out there. It's really spot heavy market. That's why, you know, it doesn't represent a huge portion of our index itself, but it is a pretty decent indicator of the flatbed market. I mean, we look at flatbed spot rates. They're doing the exact same thing that tender rejection rates are doing. So, I mean, when flatbed carriers are rejecting their contracts, you know, it's significant. So if we go on into the next chart here, looking at the nationwide capacity trend score that the one and only Kirk Purcell and Jason Baker helped create, we've got the tightest markets in blue, and if you see, there's a huge concentration of blue down here in the Southeastern corridor. You know, it kind of spreads out into the Midwest a little bit, but the focal point for me at this point is on the coasts. We've got Savannah and Los Angeles showing up in the dark blues, and then again around El Paso. If we look at the tree map real quick, this is going to put some numbers to the colors here. And you can see Savannah leading the way right now. One of the tightest actually, yes, one of the most significant tight markets in the country right now. El Paso right there. Ontario with a 98. As you mentioned earlier, it's a scale of 1 to 100. The tightest you can get is 100. So that's significant. The looser markets are down here. You know, probably some easing going on. A lot of backhaul markets over here, but Los Angeles also at an 86. If you were to look at these markets, though, you're going to see it's spread throughout. This is widespread tightness right now, and it's the highest values you can get over there.
Right, so we've got some of our biggest markets: Ontario, LA, Savannah, 98, 100. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than this.
No, and it really doesn't. Let's look at our Savannah chart real quick here. So Savannah, you know, this has been, you know, if you are going to look at like two markets in the country right now, Savannah and Ontario would be my two picks, because these are going to lead a lot of what's happening with the import flows right now. We talked about this before the show a little bit. Import volumes still feeding the freight market with so much freight to move. So these are two of the biggest ports in the country. The New York, New Jersey port conglomerate up there doesn't have as big of an impact on the national freight because it goes such a short distance and gets kind of spread out regionally. But Savannah and Los Angeles both have long haul freight volumes coming through there because they are two relatively, you know, less dense areas in terms of port flow and traffic congestion in terms of just general. Now, Los Angeles is a very congested city itself, but it's very widespread. So Savannah right now, volumes spiking here in green, rejection rates back up over 44.4%.
Yeah, nearly 1 in every 2 electronically tendered loads at contracted rates being rejected right now out of Savannah. Just very high, difficult time for shippers coming out of Savannah.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got for this carrier update.